As you may know, I, Palpatine the Emperor, has had a great deal of hatred towards the Star Wars Battlefront games from EA and the cancellation of multiple single-player Star Wars games has filled me with anger. But what do I think of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? It's good. It's good. Good. Good.
When I heard EA was finally making a single-player Star Wars game, I simply couldn't ignore it. And not only that, this was going to be a Jedi-focused Star Wars game, like Force Unleashed, only a little less aggressive. And I love me some Force Unleashed. But that was the old days with LucasArts. This is EA, the inventors of all evil in the realm of video games, the masters of microtransactions, season passes, on-disc DLC, pay to win, loot boxes, and other anti-consumer practices. Could I really trust EA to make anything good these days? Immediately, one comforting factor was the fact that this was being developed by Respawn Entertainment, probably the best developers at EA. Let's just hope they don't get shut down like a lot of the other developers. They were the makers of some of the better EA games like Titanfall 1 and 2 and Apex Legends, but those were multiplayer first-person shooters, and this is a single-player story-driven third-person action game. Well, let's see how well they pull this one off. Right off the bat, I'm sure a lot of you know I'm a big fan of Star Wars The Force Unleashed, and probably want to hear me compare this game to that. But honestly, it's not really fair to do that. This is a completely different kind of game. Think of Force Unleashed as God of War in the Star Wars universe. Lots of on-screen enemies, attacks with broad strokes that kill every opponent like bugs. Then, think of Fallen Order as more of a Dark Souls with lightsabers, locking on to one opponent at a time, carefully analyzing their pattern before making your strike. Try not to die as you hope the next checkpoint is right around the next corner. Actually dying and having to redo half an hour of progress because you may have missed a checkpoint or two. Yeah, how did I get here? How was I fooled to play a Souls-like game that I know only brings me frustration? It might look daunting for a lot of players who don't have much experience with Souls-likes, and I felt the same way myself. Not everybody's willing to climb the learning curve of this genre, and strangely, movie and comic-based games tend to be rather easy. I'm not saying games like Batman Arkham City and the new Spider-Man game on PS4 are casual games made for movie and comic nerds that may have never picked up a controller, but I'm not saying they're not. They tend to be easy. The previous Star Wars games have been relatively easy also, which is why I'm so surprised to see Fallen Order take this direction. Now, unlike Dark Souls, there is an easy mode for those that only want to experience the story. The story is alright. It isn't really the main hook. I enjoy this game for its great combination of Souls-like combat, Uncharted climbing, Tomb Raider tomb raiding, and Metroidvania exploration. Feel free to look up any of those terms if you're confused. I'm not going to expect everyone watching to know what a Souls-like or a Metroidvania is. I didn't even know until recently that the term roguelike came from an old game that was actually named Rogue. So let me explain. The Metroidvania term usually comes from games that have a rather non-linear progression and small areas that need to be re-explored after gaining certain abilities. So in Fallen Order, you gain force powers throughout that can be used for combat, puzzles, and also for accessing new areas. Different buttons do different moves. You can stop objects from moving that obstruct your path, or you can stun your enemies for a while. A force push might get you through a cracked door, or it can be used to push enemies off a cliff, or simply to push a ball around to solve some kind of puzzle. A force pull will let you pull in vines towards you, expanding your platforming and climbing moveset. You'll quickly find yourself swinging from vine to vine, running along walls, which is really satisfying, and then the next moment you're climbing along ledges like insert modern third-person game here. I know, it's a guilty pleasure. I love climbing in video games. Whether it be Uncharted, Assassin's Creed, Tomb Raider, Infamous, Breath of the Wild, even though you're not grabbing ledges there, I just love climbing. I love platforming, and this game has some of the finest platforming I have ever seen. I was able to put up with the insanely hard combat just so I could do some more platforming. This game isn't super long. You can beat it in less than 10 hours probably, but I really don't mind that. There's very little padding or places where they require me to go back and grind just so I can get a certain upgrade I need. It's very much a push-forward game in that regard. Still, there are plenty of secret upgrades to find, and lots of stuff I didn't find on my first playthrough, like a third health replenishing stim. Now you might be wondering, what's a stim? Well, it'll make sense when you play the game. I absolutely loved Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It might not be the over-the-top hack and slash that I was hoping for, but what I got was a more focused, more down-to-earth, or rather down to whatever planets you explore, adventure game. And there isn't really anything new or groundbreaking that hasn't been done before here. All the mechanics were all true and tested and taken from other successful game franchises. But what it does is mesh all these genres together and making something very satisfying. It favors polish over innovation, and sometimes that's not a bad thing. The best part of Fallen Order is the complete lack of in-game monetization. I don't know if that's something EA even wants us to focus on, but it's no secret that this console generation has been plagued by some of the worst business practices in really any industry, ever. So it's nice to see that EA was capable of just letting Respawn do their job and let their creative process flow through, without any forced, no pun intended, microtransactions or that kind of garbage. I want to see this continue. Could we finally be done with the age of shady business practices? Well, of course we're not, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. No DLC, no online fee, no loot box covered marketplace, no skins to see, no pay to win, no wheel to spin. In fact, it's just another ordinary game. No free to play, no fee to pay, no microtransactions to purchase every day. But what it is, I long to see. 'Cause Star Wars Fallen Order is the game for me. I just bought a game from EA, one that has no sign of corporate greed. I just loved a game from EA. I haven't done that since the days of 360.
So what's your plan?
Sabotage. We used to scrap walkers on Braca. I'll just jack one.
Get a load of the kid. He thinks we're back in the Clone Wars.
Captain, get us near those walkers.